and I was blown away. I've seen a lot of presenters and speakers in the real estate industry talk about whatever the topic may be, and you definitely blew me away as far as the content and how people actually got value just from being with you for that 45-minute period of time. I'm not exactly sure on the length of it, but you're also not only a coach, but you are a top agent in the GTA area and then also Canada as well. So what you're going to be covering today, I'm hoping, is similar with what we did with the seller side, only with more focus on the buyer side. That's correct?
Absolutely. And, I think, a lot of people, a lot of agents spend a lot of time and energy focusing on the listing presentation, and unfortunately, the buyer end of things has been kind of left to the wayside. And we have, right now, there's various markets across the country, but in the GTA, we have a big shortage of inventory right now and a lot of competition. There's a lot of agents out there. And you know what? If people don't see that you're providing value and there's no reason for them to work with you, a lot of buyers are nervous to commit to an agent because of fear that they might lose the right home, because it's tough to find a good home these days. So that said, let me walk you through, and I want to first explain the Mastermind seminar series is something that has developed over the last 15 years, because I was fortunate enough to work with a mastermind group out of the U.S. I was a member of the mastermind group, and we get together every 90 days with a group of about 50 of the top real estate and mortgage agents, and we're talking about seven-figure producers, agents that are doing $1 million plus a year. And that was one of the most phenomenal experiences for me, because I got to hear from them. And what's interesting was, when you're talking to a real estate agent from Atlanta and another one from San Francisco, they're not worried about competition, so they're freely sharing their best ideas. So what I'm going to share with everyone on the call today is, the best ideas that I've gotten and things that we've developed in our market. And, again, I'm a realtor just like everybody on the call. I'm here day in, day out working with buyers, working with sellers. So let's walk through it. And, first point I want to make is, if I could ask everyone on the call why you're here, the same three challenges would come up as it relates to finding buyers. Number one, it's finding buyers. Number two, it's conversion. And number three, once you've actually got a live lead, how do you convert them to buyer agency and then sell them a house? And I think, you'll see commonality in that sense. So my promise to you is, if you pay attention to what we're going to share with you today, you can close on an extra 10 new buyer deals in the next 6 months, but only if you implement the strategies we're going to share with you today. And we're also going to make it so simple. You're going to hear about a live event we're going to do in Toronto. Obviously, my friend in BC can't attend, or maybe he can, but it's really geared more towards the people in the GTA. However, I promise everybody on the call will get some value today. And really what you want to do is turn off your phone, spend 20, 30 minutes with us, focus on the strategies. And this is something that we've been training agents on for almost 15 years. And obviously the information changes over time. Technology changes things. Part of what we're going to talk about today is how to use your iPad in the presentation. What blew me away about you, Dan, is you're embracing technology and using it to make life simpler, not more complicated. So that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
So today's agenda, we're going to talk about generating leads a little bit. We're going to talk about lead conversion, and then we're also going to talk about what we have in the pre-buyer package, what we actually do in the buyer interview itself, and then, of course, once you've got a client signed on, how do you convert them? How do you serve them in a way that will actually have them find a property, do a deal, and go into your database as another satisfied client, and hopefully to get more repeat and referral business from them as well. It all starts here, I think, with what I call the lead capture funnel. And the lead capture funnel, and hopefully, everyone on the call has multiple sources of business, but if you don't, you really got to understand that you need multiple sources of business to get consistency. You need either prospecting leads, which don't cost you money but do cost you time, or generating online leads, which these days are actually easier than ever, believe it or not. It require a little less time than prospecting, but do require money. And then, of course, the best of the best, which is the past client and referrals. And in understanding what our job is to get them through the qualification process and to end up with what I call the AAAs. And the AAAs, to me, it's not a convincing conversation. It's really understanding who you're talking to And there's really three types of people that I've come across, and this is just one way that you can categorize your clients. One category for me is a great client. This is somebody who's qualified financially, who's nice to talk to, who's motivated to do something, they're realistic about price, and they're happy to work with you, and they're happy to introduce you to others. And we've all bumped into one or more of those, I hope, where they're just, you know what, they're just nice people, and they're good to go, and they're comfortable telling the people at the office, comfortable telling their relatives. Now here's the second category, fun but hopeless. And you know what I'm talking about. And unfortunately, a lot of the times these are actually relatives of ours. They're fun but hopeless in the sense that, hey, you know what? They need to see 5,700 homes. They are not sure about their financing. They're looking for the no money down, or they're looking to lowball everything. And you know what? They might be nice people, but it just requires way too much of our energy. And if you're working with fun but hopeless people, it makes you feel fun but hopeless. And then there's the third category. And this one you can't do anything about other than refer them to a psychiatrist. So I'm not sure what I would say here. Let me stop here for a second, Dan. I've got somebody saying I still have no audio for the webinar. So before we continue,
everybody's got audio.
If you guys can hear us, please send in a text. It could be just one person. I've got Carlos saying he has no audio. Could somebody type in a question? I know our friend in BC, audio's working from G, must be your computer. Okay, great. So we'll continue. Thanks for that, G. Thanks, guys. Okay, so
and by doing that, if you guys have any questions as we go, ask a question by typing it because we can't hear you, and then I'll just interrupt and keep an eye on that message board for you, okay?
That's wonderful.
Cool.
So getting back to what we're talking to, and by the way, we're also going to be sending out a link to everybody with a video recording of this. And I see another person also having issues with audio. If you're having issues with audio, you can also dial into the number and listen via telephone. And the instructions for that are in the email that we sent out to everybody. So if you're having trouble with your audio on your computer, you can dial in by telephone or listen in while you watch the screen. So let's continue. So we've got great clients. We've got fun but hopeless. And we've got don't trust anybody. And really at the end of the day, our job is to do what I call sort, don't convince. And the analogy that I like to make is, you know, Dan, imagine you've got a pack of playing cards. And in the pack is how many cards? 52. But how many aces are there? There's only 4 aces. And our job is to sort through those 52 cards, which are all the leads that we're going to get, and just find those 4 aces. And those 4 aces are great clients that are going to do a deal, they're motivated, and they're going to be valuable assets to our database. And, you know, we've all been there where we're trying to convince somebody, where you're talking to somebody and they're saying, well, the market's this and the market's that, and you might spend a lot of energy trying to convince them otherwise. It's a waste of time and energy. Our job is simply to look through, sort, and get those AAA clients and get them on the table. You know, so what is a AAA buyer? Like I said, they're willing to talk, they're friendly and cooperative, they're motivated, realistic, and there's somebody moving within 6 months. Now, if somebody says, you know what, I'm not ready right now, but I'd like to work with you. I'm ready in about a year. I'm waiting for the fall. I'm waiting for the spring. No problem. Put them in the database, set up an alarm to follow up with them, mail them, email them, call them, do whatever you got to do. But what we're looking for right now is the now buyer, and they're pre-approved financially, and that's really step one that we want to take care of. And now, you know, we said at the top of the call that we're going to talk a little bit about lead gen, and there's a lot of confusion out there, and Dan, you know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of confusion about websites and what they mean to us as realtors, because I believe that we need to have 2 solutions. We need a branded website for our clients to see. Here's an example of a branded website for one of the guys on our team in Toronto, and this is the website that he sends all his clients to. They know who he is. They've done business with him. They like Tony. They recognize his face, and this is what they want to see. And the branded website uses something called a VOW, which is a virtual office website, which essentially shows listings for all the listings with all the brokerages in that MLS area. So it's something that his clients can do research on, and all of it is branded with his contact information. Now, from a lead gen standpoint, I've taken a snapshot here of justlisted.ca as an example of what we want to do. And unbranded simply means this. If somebody's looking online for information about homes in whatever area, you are irrelevant. My face, my contact info, and you know Dan's face, and any of us out there, we're irrelevant. People just want to find out, how do I find information on homes in a particular area, price range, number of baths, and so on. And if a squeeze page is set up correctly, it will do lead capture. Now, this call, we won't have enough time to go into into as much detail as we need. We actually do a separate 2-hour training just on online lead gen. And for those that are interested, we'll let you know how to find out about that. But you need to understand enough that a regular branded website is for your warm market, for your sphere of influence, past clients, and what you need to generate leads online. Because I have this conversation many, many times where an agent will say, well, I've got a website, but it's not getting leads. Well, the problem with many of the typical boilerplate websites that a lot of the vendors are selling us as agents these days is that they're catering to our ego and they're making it branded. And when a consumer comes to a site that looks like a typical realtor website, they don't want to talk to you yet. They don't want to engage with you. But they will go to sites like justlisted.ca. By the way, Just Listed is happy to sell you those leads for $50. Or I don't know what the latest rate is. You know what they're charging these days, Dan? On Just Listed or yeah, what they're doing
I know
is
it is expensive, but one thing I want to point out is with the squeeze pages is it's really important that all the important information is at the top of the page as far as give me your name, phone number, and email, and this is the call to action. On the branded websites, the agent's photos are taking up half the page, and people have to scroll down. See, this is still, even though this one's branded, it's still good because people can search right there. Like, this is a really good website, this template, but most templates don't have all that important information right and easy for people to get access to. They actually have to go through the drop-down menus looking for the listings page or the house values page. But with this one, people can easily see that.
You said it. I mean, you've seen websites where there's a picture of somebody and their dog, a picture of somebody sailing, or, somebody talking on the phone, and that's all irrelevant. You said it. In the absence of a headline, if your photo is the headline, you've just lost people. They're not interested in that headline, and they'll just click on the big X button, and they'll continue. So that's why this is something that, Just Listed and House Values, they understand this, and all of the pay-per-click strategies for generating leads online work really, really well, but you have to have the right system, the right landing page, which is, the properly designed squeeze page, and then you have to have the conversion systems once you get the leads. Again, we don't have too much time to talk about online lead gen, but I want to talk a little bit about conversion, and this is probably, the single biggest mistake people make is they answer the phone at any given time, and they're trying to close on the phone. They're trying to close on something, where really the primary purpose of the phone call is to qualify them first for need and urgency, build some trust, build some rapport, and book an appointment. And every situation is different in that, if somebody's calling about one of your listings, and, some of the trainers will train you, try to get them in the office, they really have no need. The buyer has no need to come to your office, and you're trying to convince them to come to your office is just hurting you. So a lot of times, you're okay showing that one property, and then you can try to convert to another apartment. You were going to pipe in, Dan?
Hello?
You were going to comment?
Oh, no, I was covering the phone because I coughed. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. So the primary purpose again, and if you don't recognize this guy, this is for those of you under 30. This is Maxwell Smart with a great show that I used to like when I was a kid. And I'm making fun of the fact that, some of us are just not taking it seriously. Converting phone leads to appointments. For example, one of the most important things I think I learned early on in my career was don't answer the cell phone, especially when I'm driving or walking, when I can't properly take the time to have a conversation uninterrupted, make notes. And by the way, I've invested in a wireless headset. I'm using it right now. It's fantastic quality. They're expensive, but I've had mine for, 12 years, 13 years. They cost $300-400. But when I make phone calls back, I've got my headset on. I've got my checklist ready. I'm focused on the client. I'm asking them the questions. And my job is, again, build rapport, qualify them, and try to book an appointment. And there's a method to it. There's a science to it. So,
and the checklist is like an ad call sheet where you go down a list qualifying them based on their questions and writing down notes? Is that what?
Absolutely. I'm actually going to walk you through a little bit of a checklist for the ad call list and sort of some of the questions that we're going to go through. But before we do that, let me walk people through the next steps. So, for example, I've got somebody on the phone. I've now confirmed an appointment. And I go to people's offices. I'm happy to go to their home. I'm happy for them to come to the office. You have to gauge where do they live, where are they looking, and where's your office located, because some of us are covering pretty broad regions. For example, I'm in north central Toronto, but if somebody lives downtown and is looking for a condo downtown, I'm not going to try to convert them to an appointment in my office. I'll meet them at their condo. I'll meet them at a coffee shop. I'll meet them at their office, and this is where I'll actually do the buyer appointment. And before I get to the appointment, number one, I'm going to courier a pre-appointment package, which is basically, I wish I could show everybody, but it's hard to show you hard copy. It's basically a booklet that we put together with a lot of the FAQs and some checklists, and it's very well branded. And look, this is the cover that you're seeing here. It's customized for each one, and we make sure we do that in every single case. We courier the appointment because, think about it. If you've ever gotten a Purolator or a FedEx package, it could have drivel in it, but you treat it like it's the most important thing. You'll stop everything, and you'll open that package, and it creates a sense of importance. I'm also going to confirm the appointment by email and phone 24 hours in advance. I'm going to customize the presentation, which we'll talk about in a second, and I make sure I arrive 20 minutes early for every appointment to review the file. Because think about it. I'm going to spend 15, 20 minutes on the phone with my buyer prospect, Mary, and the worst thing that can happen is if I show up and I forget and I ask her, so where do you work again? Well, their eyes might say, well, I already told you this, and I work here and here and here, and this is what I'm looking for. So I make sure I review the file, remind myself of all the questions I already asked her, the answers to which I've already written down, and I'm treating that like a potential $50,000 appointment. Because think about it. If you do a good job and you have that, what I call the advocate or the raving fan, the one person that loves you and refers everybody and anybody to you, that buyer could potentially be another raving fan that's going to mean 4 or 5 transactions. So treat everyone like gold. I think it's very, very important. So here's sort of just a snapshot of page 1 of the buyer interview package, and we do this on the laptop or on the iPad. I prefer to do it on my iPad. People are comfortable with the iPad, and it also sends a message that you understand technology and you're up to speed. A lot of our clients are using the iPad. If you don't have one yet, don't worry about it. You can do this on your laptop. You can also print it out on a piece of paper. And what it does is it just gives you a system. There's a brilliant book called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And if you haven't already picked it up, I highly recommend it. Gerber is quoted as saying, the system is the solution. Because if we want consistency in our business, we want to do things the exact same way as much as possible, say 90, 95% of the time. And the only way to do that is have a checklist. So we put together a complete checklist of all the questions you need to ask, one by one, and a place to put all the answers. So that's one. Step 2 is the Home Buyer Survival Guide. This is the pre-appointment package that we send out. It's a customizable publisher file or PDF. You can give it to your printer. And even if you create a generic one that you mail out, we're lucky in that we have digital printing in our office, so I can do a custom version. So every client, so if I'm meeting with Dan, it'll say Dan Wood, Monday at 2 p.m., and this is the package that's going to go out with my business card by courier. And then, of course, lastly is the presentation checklist that we use on the iPad. It's a customizable PowerPoint file. As you can see, it's branded exactly the same as the pre-appointment package, so it's consistent. And again, we customize it with the client's name and the date. And I'll tell you, people love to see their name in lights. They like to see that you've customized it for them, that you're thinking about them, and it's just every little bit helps. Okay.
So I've seen that process when you're doing a listing and people send a pre-list package and there's a picture of the house. So this is the reverse, only now you're focused on the buyers.
Yeah, now I'm focused on the buyers, and obviously I'm going to use just a boilerplate photo of the clients. I don't have photos of them. That would be a little creepy if I found photos of them online and put it in there. I might get a little nervous, but it's just a boilerplate happy couple holding a key, so it's a harmless little photo. But what I do is I customize the name and the date and time of the appointment. Yep, it always works very, very well. Now, I know you made me promise to keep the call to about 30 minutes, but Dan, I think it'd be important to walk people through and show them the actual buyer interview checklist, the PowerPoint file that we use during the interview. So you think we're okay to take an extra 5 minutes?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I think they expected a little longer. So
yeah. Okay. So let me switch over. Bear with me, folks. And again, this is sort of, now I'm switching to the PowerPoint file that I would actually use with the client. Now, normally this would take, you'd do this over the course of 30 minutes to 45 minutes, because as you go through, you're going to ask people questions, and you'll write down all the questions. And the objective of this is to give you a checklisted way, a systematized approach to the actual interview. And I don't want people to get overwhelmed, because I'm going to go through this in about 5 minutes. But what I want you to understand is this. All I'm doing as I go through this is I'm using each slide as a reminder to talk about a specific point. And what you're going to be left with at the end is the impression that I really know my stuff. But any one of you guys on the call could do the exact same thing as you go through this, and you'll see how simple this really, really is. So let's just walk through this, okay? And we don't have time for role play, Dan, but I'm just going to basically show the various slides and what the logic is. So obviously I customized slide 1. And I first start off by saying what our mandate is. And listen, my job is to educate you, help you find the best home, negotiate the lowest price and terms, assist you in finding the best financing and make it stress-free. You're in control, and there's no cost for our home buyer service. Because we got that question all the time. What's the fee, when we went through all of the stuff that we offer? Because it's a huge value. And I start off by asking them, what are your questions? And I'll take down their questions, and I'll make sure I cover them through the interview. And, this is, there's a lot of real estate agents in my market area, and I appreciate your meeting with me. I know you could have chosen anyone. And I want to talk about, the difference between how most realtors operate and how we operate. And how most realtors operate is they'll advertise homes to get you to call them. They may choose a few homes to show you, and then they want to try to convince you to buy something. We do things differently. We focus on your needs first, and we have a full-service team. Now, if you're panicking because you don't have a full-service team, every one of us has an office manager. Every one of us has a mortgage broker we can refer to, and real estate lawyers. It's all in how you present it, okay? I happen to have a full-time assistant, but if you don't have a full-time assistant, your team is your office manager, your broker of record. You've got backup. So we're just talking about the fact that when you hire me, you're hiring a whole team of people. Now let's talk about today's service. Sorry, say again, Dan?
Even the answering service, the 24-hour answering service.
You said it. Even the answering service is 24 hours. You might have a receptionist at your office. You may have somebody helping with offers at your office. Bring everybody into the conversation, right? You may have another agent in your office that you partner with anytime there's a scheduling conflict, whatever you need to do.
Yep.
And then I'm going to walk them through and talk about, the market conditions. Now, here's some basic information about the GTA, the fair price analysis. Population growth is driving the market here, low mortgage rates, talk a little bit about the green belt, how we're running out of land in the GTA, and obviously you want to customize this to your individual market. And then we're going to go into, what's the right way to buy in this market, and that's understanding, what are homes available in the area price range, understanding real market value, and explain CMA, and walk them through it. I find it's really helpful at this point as well, Dan, to literally open up Toronto MLS and walk them through, show them what's sold, and toggling back and forth sometimes help. Monitor all new listings. Assemble your team of experts, which includes all of the guys we talked about, the mortgage brokers, the lawyers, and so on. And be prepared to act quickly. But quickly doesn't mean stupidly. And I'll literally walk them through a plain language version of the offer and show them how it works and explain the clauses. And talk about staying within your budget. Which is really, they're not expecting a salesman to say spend less than you need. Their typical expectation is we want to close them as quickly as possible. We're telling them to slow down.
That's a good way to uncover. By the way, I want to interrupt. That's a good way to uncover what their price range is.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we sort of need to know from the pre-qualification stage, and this is reiterating again. Step 1 of our home buyer service is to help you figure out the best price range, help you get a free mortgage pre-approval. And basically have the banks bid on your business, because I'm sure you're like me. I wouldn't care which bank is going to give me the mortgage as long as I can get the lowest rate. Number 2, the walking and explaining to them what the pre-approval process is going to be. Application form, income verification, credit report. We all know this stuff. We skim over it. And the reason I talk about this stuff is I want them to know that I know. And my only objective here, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, is to make sure you get the best rate and terms. You've already got a relationship with your bank. Fantastic. get that documentation so we know what we're dealing with, you know what we're dealing with, and then my job is to get you a second opinion if you want, see if we can get you a better rate, and nobody says no. And this way we work with our mortgage broker. And at the end of the day, look, our objective is to help them get the deal done, get the best rate, and provide as a good a service as possible. And pipe in any time, Dan. I know I'm talking quickly because I want to get through this for your group. And then once your pre-approval is confirmed, we know we've got it in writing. We know what the rate is, and there's an advantage here to you as a buyer because if you're competing with other offers, we've seen cases where you can actually you can negotiate a lower offer of price because you're going in with a cash offer, no conditions, in the situations where you're going in multiple offers, and that's really something you really need to understand. And then we'll talk about home inspections in a second. But step 2, once we get the pre-approval done, is we set up our home finder search, and we program our custom home finder system to send you info about all homes for sale in your area. What am I talking about? I'm talking about TREB. I'm talking about the local board. It's something we all do, but what we're doing here is we're making the invisible visible. You choose the area, type of home and price range, and our home finder search searches through the massive computers, and just the visuals imply that this is something a little different and giving them exclusive access. And our search includes bank sales, distress sales, and I'm just talking about your regular board search, okay?
Yep.
But what we're doing is we're bringing them behind the scenes to let them know that it includes bank sales, distress sales. See, we assume they know all this stuff, but they don't know all this stuff. So it's very powerful imagery. We'll email you the new listings daily, and we get a copy so we know exactly what's going on. And you choose the homes you wish to see. You'll get visuals, you get map, you get links. We make the arrangements, and there's no pressure to buy ever. It's on your schedule. Very subtle messaging as we're going through that they're in control, and I'm not here to rush you. I'm here to focus on your needs, Dan. Okay? And I love this quote by Chester Carras. In business, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate. And this is probably the most important thing you're going to hire me to do as your buyer agent is negotiating the purchase of your home. And we use our custom buyer's offer that protects your needs. We present the offer on your behalf to the seller's agent. We negotiate all the terms and conditions in your best interest. We'll make sure all the...
That's a good idea, having a sheet with the custom conditions. So just showing the ones that many people probably don't use and then explaining, like, if you don't have this, you could be in trouble, right?
Yeah. In fact, what we do is we recommend you have a copy of the plain language forms. Most boards have them. A plain language version of the agreement of purchase and sale, one for freehold, one for condo, depending on the client you're working with, and have a Schedule A with your boilerplate clauses and explain it to them. Because I assure you, nobody else has done this before. Okay? Yeah. I've never walked through this process with a buyer and heard, oh yeah, I know all this stuff. They all listen attentively. And I can assure you, if I walk you through this process, you're going to be left feeling, wow, this guy knows his stuff, and I need to deal with this guy. This is why we want to make it dummy-proof for them to want to work with you. And it gets even better, okay? We'll talk about making sure the appliances are included, that they're working. And here's the plain language forms that we'll walk them through, and we'll show them the Schedule A. Now we'll talk about home inspection. We'll walk them through all of that. What does it all mean? We'll talk about review the condo status. And obviously, if I know in advance I'm dealing with Mary, and Mary only wants to buy a condo, I'll delete the other slide, and I'll just talk about the condo status. Now, Shalini is asking, do you tell them you include FSBOs also? Well, that's part of the overall conversation, and it doesn't hurt. I don't typically bring it up, Shalini, but if they ask, I'll say absolutely. If you do find it for sale by owner, what we'll do is you let us know. We'll do a market analysis for you because we find that most for sale by owners are overpriced. And if you do like the for sale by owner, we'll step away, and it'll be up to you. You can negotiate it on your own. You can hire us to do it or do nothing at all. But we got your back whether you're buying MLS or you're buying a private sale. Okay? And we just find that they don't expect that. And having done that, we've probably all run into the experience where a client is looking at a private sale, and I'll tell you 9 times out of 10, they're asking me for my opinion, and we all know that most for sale by owners are overpriced. So
here's one buyer tip to alleviate that as well is, you know how some of the listing companies, they'll put the commission as $1? Mm-hmm. Well, in our Flex search, on your board, when you're setting up a buyer, you say city, price, and everything else. Well, you can pick the commission and then just put 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, and it's going to show all the listings that have a 2%, 3% or higher, but nobody that shows the 1% or $1.
That's a great idea, just to exclude all of the
then you don't
for
set
sale by
yourself
owner
up for a
MLS
trap.
listings. Yeah. Well, I still find, though, depending on the market, there's so few out there. But I find the more you educate your client about those, then just remind them that. See, here's the other thing you got to remember. At the end of this, we're going to have them signed up to buy our agency, so they'll know that we get paid no matter what. And there's actually a strategy to even work with for sale by owners and just get paid, and it's added to the price, and they understand it, and it rarely gives us an issue. But that's a great tip on how to exclude those from the search. But even though, Dan, I mean, if you're excluding it from your search, they're still going to be, I think Shalini's talking about what if they find it on their own, and that's, you still need to be able to address that as well. But not an issue, not an issue. So again, walk them through all of the condo status stuff, and again, have a sample copy of what a condo status report looks like. Highlight it. Walk them through it. Hey, here's the maintenance fee, here's the reserve fund, here's the legal question, and it's a boilerplate form. And show them, hey, once the conditions are removed, you're going to sign something called a waiver, so they're not scared of this document later on. Because again, we're thinking long term. We're thinking, how do we serve the client so that the process is really seamless and educational for them? And what are the most common mistakes buyers make? Well, doing research on their own on Google. Because we had one case where a client Googled closing costs, and they actually got a checklist from some state in the U.S., and it was all wrong, and they were unprepared. So don't rely on anything online, folks. We're talking to the client now. Don't rely on anything online. Yeah, work with us. We're actually going to work through all the numbers with them. Avoid the real estate rush hour means, hey, sometimes you can't wait till the weekend to see a house. Sometimes the best homes sell quickly. We're going to review all of the numbers up front. We're going to review all of the numbers in terms of what are the monthly expenses. And you know what else we do, Dan? Part of the checklist, the Word document that we talked about earlier, has a simple spreadsheet that works through all these numbers. And what I do with the client right in the initial interview is I give them sample numbers, and then once the meeting is done, whether they've signed buyer agency on the spot or not, in most cases they have, but I type it all up and I send them a copy by email so they have a clean, typed up copy of all of the upfront costs as well as the monthly expenses, and it just gives people a little bit more of a peace of mind, especially those, the guys that are really numbers oriented, the ones that are spreadsheet crazy. They want to know all of these numbers, and it helps them walk through. It also helps demonstrate that you're one of those numbers people and they can relate to you, kind of thing. We'll also talk about mortgage reduction strategy and show them how to pay off mortgage faster. I think most of us know this stuff. And then here's one thing that, we'll also do. You've already bought your place, Mary. It's a year gone by. What we're going to do is we're going to do a review of the new property values. We're going to help you understand your new mortgage. First help you understand what new equity you've made, and also be available for any maintenance or renovation questions you might have about your home. And at the end of the day, just like a doctor does an annual checkup, we'll do an annual checkup. And note to everybody on the call, if you want to increase retention of your existing clients, start doing this for all of your existing clients. And it's not a lot of effort. I just print out, like, let's say, Dan, you have a 3-bedroom, 2-story detached in a particular neighborhood. I'm just going to print up what 3-bedroom, 2-story detached sold in the last 3 months. I'm not going to do a complicated analysis. Just here's the few sales in the area. Dan, here's your mortgage amortization chart, which you already know. Here's my annual check-in. How you doing? Any questions? And it's just a reminder that you're there for them. We lose very, very few sellers that way. 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the road, they're ready to sell. They're calling us because we're on top of this. We're seeing them face-to-face with the annual review. And then I'm going to summarize and ask them, hey, did we answer all of your questions? Was it worth your time meeting with me today? And the hard close is really simple. Are you, based on the information we've gone through so far, Dan, are you comfortable that we're qualified to help you find a home? And the answer is the answer is going to be yeah. So listen, all we're looking for is honesty and loyalty, and here's how we can help. We'll walk through next steps. We'll review all the numbers. We'll help you pick out the area, get you the information, and here's a home finder service agreement that has me work exclusively with you and you work with me. Either party can cancel this agreement, so you're not locked in, and we offer a 1-year, love it or leave it guarantee. Dan, you're going to move into your home, and within the first year, if you don't love your new home or condo within the first year, we'll sell it without a fee and find you another. And what this does, it takes the pressure of a decision off, because the agreement is easy for them to cancel, and we're offering them a guarantee. And I'll tell you, 99 times out of 99 times, people will say literally, wow, that's pretty cool.
And not use it. Like, that'd be very seldom.
You'd never really have to honor the guarantee, because if you've done your homework, you know. And what I use, I'm going to backtrack a second. We don't use the board buyer rep agreement. We use this simple Word document because it's so much more friendly. It's very, very simple. It's easy to read. And we actually had an agent complain. Some agent tried to steal one of my clients and sent this to Rico, and Rico looked at it and said, hey, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It has a date. It has signatures. It's fine. You don't have to use buyer rep agreement form. Now, I'm not recommending that you do not use your board forms. Always use your board forms. But I'm saying at this stage, what I do is I use this form to get their agreement, and then I get them to sign the buyer rep form later when they're doing the offer. I still do FinTrack. I still do the board BRA. I still do know your client. All of that, all of the stuff that we're required to do, we still do. But this is just a softer way to start the conversation going. Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah.
You know, and this guarantee, we literally print it up on a certificate and give it to them. It's something, it's a tangible certificate. You can buy this stuff at Staples and print them off by the hundreds and just have them ready. And I just initial it at the bottom, that kind of thing. Very, very simple stuff. So was that helpful for everybody going through all of this stuff? So I'm going to go back
I love that.
Yeah, so I'm going to go back to this. So just to recap, you know, we've got a checklist for, you know, what we do to qualify them over the phone and book the appointment. We've got a package.
Your screen is black. Oh, never mind. Now it's good.
Is it back now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got the checklist. We've got the package that we courier them. Very, very important. We've got the pre-listing, the appointment version of PowerPoint that we walk through. And I think you can all agree that having heard me go through all the slides, I probably didn't say anything that you didn't already know. And you don't have to say it exactly the way I do. You just have to cover all the points. And the PowerPoint is designed to just make sure you cover all the points and make you look like a champ, right? So that's kind of it. And do you remember? You don't know who this guy is, do you, Dan?
No.
Does he look familiar?
Sort of. From
some of you on the call who are over 40 are laughing to yourselves right now. If you can pipe in, I'm going to give you a toaster. There you go. Shalini got it. There's an old TV show called Sanford and Son, and he always called his son, you big dummy. So the next step is ask for the business, you big dummy. Handle any questions, because a lot of us we're so busy being nice, we forget to ask for the order. I want to get a signature. I'm going to handle any questions they have, but I'm not attached to the outcome, right? And I am going to follow up, as I said. And you know, I think we've all heard this Notre Dame study. 60% of all sales are made after the fourth no. So if they give you a no, first of all, you're going to really dramatically reduce the no's if you follow this buyer interview process. But if you don't get the order right away, stay in touch, stay in touch, stay in touch, stay in touch. And after the interview, if you didn't get them signed up, or if you did, take a little survey of yourself. Just sit quietly at a coffee shop after the client's left and ask yourself, what went well in the meeting? What could I have done better? You know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how was I well prepared? My knowledge of the area, the buyer interview, all of that stuff. Go one by one and say, hey, you know what? Even though I screwed up 2 of them, I still got the order. Now I need to know I'm just going to work on this, because you can't go from beginner to mastery of any skill or any system. You have to go through, you know, progress, not perfection, as I say. Okay?
I dig it.
Yeah, and you know, I referenced earlier Michael Gerber's book. Here's some other books I highly recommend, just about attitude, marketing, building systems. Jay Abraham is the guru of marketing. Richard Branson on attitude. Dan Kennedy on writing copy for direct marketing, and of course, Ken Blanchard's book Raving Fans, which talks about, you know, what is the long-term approach to and benefits of building lifetime raving fans and how that can all benefit us. I also use, I'm going to rifle through some of this stuff quickly. I also use a monthly accountability report, so I can start tracking. For example, I've got, you know, how many leads did I get from different sources, how many buyer leads, how many appointments, and how many deals, because I want to start tracking, you know, what if I'm really good at getting leads, but I can't get the appointments. Well, now I know I need to work on my conversion skill on the phone. What if I'm getting a lot of appointments, but they don't want to sell? They don't want to sign the buyer agency. Well, I'm good at getting appointments, but I've got to work on my interview skills because I'm probably not, and I hate to set the bar high, but I would say even our junior agents are operating at around 90% in terms of converting appointments to buyer agency. So it's not a difficult thing if you come at it from thinking long term and thinking it's just progress, not perfection. G's asking for the book slides back up. G, we're going to send out a video recording, so you'll get all of that. You can, we'll send out a video recording. You'll get all this information, so you don't need to write it down. And here's where I'm tracking all of this stuff: appointment lead ratio, deal to appointment ratio, deal to lead ratio, and we'll walk you through. And there's a lot to understand, but it's actually fairly simple. And one of the biggest challenges that I had early in my career was understanding, how do I manage all my time? I felt a little overwhelmed. Wow, I got to worry about lead generation, conversion. I got tracking systems. Well, it's like anything else. You don't brush your teeth all day long. You brush your teeth in the morning, and most of us, and we skip over lunch, but we make sure we brush our teeth at night. Well, you want to make sure you have a similar schedule for understanding your lead tracking, especially if you're spending money on marketing. You want to know where your lead's coming in and what skills are required for me to get to the next level of conversion. Okay? And, I'm going to wrap up soon. I promised to keep it under 30 minutes, so I think we're okay. We're wrapping up in a few minutes. And at this point, I want to invite everybody to a full training that we're going to do. We've been doing this for almost 10 years, and I can tell you that I've probably changed the information every single time because technology keeps changing on us, and we've got all kinds of really cool tools with the iPad as a simple example. But our next Buyer Mastery training is on Saturday, June 22nd. It's at our boardroom here near the Toronto Real Estate Board, Don Mills and Lawrence in the Toronto area. And we're going to close the door. We're going to shut the phones, and we're going to focus 3 hours on, number one, what do we need to know in a lot more detail about lead generation? So I know Giannini was asking about squeeze pages and other dates and locations. If you can't make this date or location, let us know, and we'll let you know about upcoming times as well as upcoming webinar options for the same training. But let me continue on track here. We're going to take you detailed, step-by-step, through all of the lead gen. We're going to role-play the conversion where you'll literally turn your chair and role-play an interview with the person beside you so you get good at this stuff. And then we're going to talk about the wow service. In other words, you've got a client. How do you find the property? How do you show them the information? How do you actually walk them through to closing and beyond such that they're wowed with the service you provide and they become lifetime raving fans? And it's a lot of information, but it's something that, it really has to be in your arsenal. Now, we'll give everybody copies of a Word document with the buyer interview package and walk you through step-by-step exactly what we're doing. And this is the exact system that we're using in our business today, right here. And I don't care where you are in Canada, it's relevant to you. Number two, we'll give you a PDF copy of this home buyer package and give you the license right to use it. You put your own logos on it. My only suggestion is don't change it too much. Don't put too many logos and fancy stuff on there. Just put a simple branding. In fact, we don't put any branding on. We don't put very much branding on the outside at all. We have a little intro page on the inside with our contact information, and it's really designed to be more educational than selling us. And there's a subtle distinction, right?
It's cleaner.
It's much cleaner. And the same thing with the buyer interview. I mean, you see our logo here for the Real Estate Center, which is the branding of my team, but that's about it. There's not a lot there. You don't see my photo anywhere because they're talking to me. They don't need my photo on all this stuff. As agents, we're so used to putting our photo on everything, so we kept it really simple, clean, and remembering that, we picked the color scheme that would work well on the iPad, simple, clean, black and white photo here. And we'll give everyone in attendance copies of all of this stuff and walk you through exactly how to use these systems. It's on Saturday, June 22nd, and I was explaining to Dan earlier on the call, we normally sell this training for $398, but just for all of Dan's clients, we're discounting it by 50%. So if you want to sit in, it really is a no-brainer. I mean, $198, I've seen people spend more than that on a postcard that got no leads. And this is designed to show you, how to find buyer leads. And there are strategies where you can find them for free online, some very simple prospecting strategies that we'll talk about. And we didn't have time because we had to kind of rush this, so we didn't set up a landing page for people to register online. But if you're interested in attending, all you have to do is send an email to mastermind@reccanada.com or call our help desk 416-979-0333. Just either include in the email or tell them I'm a client of Dan Wood, and we'll honor that discount for you. And it's $198. It's a one-time fee. And I'm going to go one better, Dan. We're going to give everybody a 100% money-back guarantee. If they register for the course, they show up, they can sit through the entire 3 hours. If at the end of the 3 hours they didn't find any value, all they have to do is return the material. We'll give them a 100% money-back guarantee, and they're getting their money back and they're getting free coffee. So they can actually get a free coffee and training. How's that? We want to make it as simple as possible. So that's the information, guys. Just write down. All you need to know is mastermind@reccanada.com or call the number. And Dan, do you have any comments or questions you want before we finalize here?
No, that was it. I'm going to send the. I guess you'll send the video out to everybody, right?
But what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a link to everybody that attended today's webinar with a copy of the video and instructions on how to reserve a seat. And a couple of questions coming in by chat. If you can't go to TO, thanks for your comments, guys. If you can't come to TO for that event, or if you're too far, we're actually, if there's enough demand, we'll create a webinar version of this and include all the materials and the video training and send it all out to you and make it available, so you can get the training virtually. I think that's the way a lot of the world is working towards these days.
Definitely. I just posted a link. It's a screenshot of the contact information. So if people click that link before you leave, you can save that picture, and it's got all the information.
Yeah, I see that there. I think it may have gone by too fast for some people, but yeah, absolutely, you can do that. And like I said, we'll include a copy of this video as well as all of the contact info to register. And thanks, G. If you do want the virtual version of this, we'll make it available and we'll push that out as well. So
and you should also point out that because it was the seller one that I attended, that I was like, oh man, this is amazing stuff. So it's not just buyers. If people are interested in the seller side too, for sure. So.
Yeah, there's a whole curriculum of training that we do. Buyer Mastery is one of them. So if we have your contact info, as we do if you're on the call, we'll let you know about all of the upcoming trainings, and we'll certainly make available virtual copies as well, guys. So great feedback from your team, Dan, and you, of course. And I think we'll let them go back to business and go find another buyer. So thanks to everybody, and Dan, thanks for the opportunity to talk to all of your friends in the business.
Hey, no problem. Thank you for coming out and doing this. So I'm going to stick around till everybody goes, and then we'll end off here. So.
Okay, great. I'm going to stop recording, and then you can stay on the call. And what I'll do is you want me to unmute everybody so you can stay on with questions?
Sure, yeah. And then those of you can just leave if it's too noisy.
Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to stop recording, and everybody have a great day.